Yo,
Hey, what's up, man?
not much. Chilling.
How you doing?
Doing good. Trying to write some vocals.
Nice.
Trying to stay motivated to record songs.
Yep.
And dude, it's hard to like find inspiration or things to write about. I guess lyrically, anyways. I don't feel like the
hmm
notes are ever that hard. There's so many of them. But
hmm
it's like I feel like most of my songs are written about like experiences that I've had with other people, which is kind of
hmm
so now that I'm
Yeah.
like trying to write songs, it's like, well, what the fuck am I gonna write about? I don't even.
Yeah. Right. I hear you, man. This is a crazy time.
Yeah,
Well, I guess it's an opportunity to find other avenues.
true, dude.
Maybe.
The At least the recording thing for me, I wasn't doing that at all on my own before I
mhm.
started. I'd been going to studios and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, has its ups and downs.
hmm
I remember like a long time ago seeing one of your posts, and you were like making fried rice or something, and you're like, "I just made my record and I'm broke," and I was like,
That's funny.
but yeah, I've been, doing a lot of that recently where
Yeah.
it's like spending all my money just to record the project. And it's just like, fuck, dude,
hmm
that's, like whatever, however much money I didn't have in the first,
Yeah.
and then you're that much more in the hole.
Yeah.
And, dude, I just
Man.
remember you're probably one of the first people I saw like the truth of like what it was to actually record your own music, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
other people, but I can't
Yeah.
complain. I had this like really shitty microphone, just a 58, and then
hmm
2-track interface, and uh,
Yeah.
I've been able to record a cello, and guitar is
Cool.
pretty straightforward, and
Yeah.
vocals.
Yeah.
Do you been doing much recording at the crib?
Yeah. I've been doing a lot actually. I've been recording different tracks for different people and doing some of my own stuff as well.
Word.
And then I did that streaming show. I'm probably gonna do another show like that.
Hell yeah.
So I'm using my gear for that, using like the OBS thing to get better sound.
Okay, sure. I
Um,
tried that. I didn't really like it too much. There's some.
yeah, I mean it's definitely not great, but I feel like it's a
Yeah.
little bit better than the computer mic or the
The
iPhone
other
mic.
thing too that I see like a lot of DJs are doing this. I see where like they'll put like their Venmo like on the screen.
hmm
So
Oh wow, okay.
whatever or something like that. Like you could really use it to the visual aspect of it pretty hard.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's cool. I
so
hadn't thought about that.
I would experiment with that. With them, I see like put they have their logo, and then like they'll put like some trippy ass shit over their face or whatever, like a mountain or some mandala visualizer thing or whatever.
Right.
But
Yeah.
for you, I think it'd be cool if you just had some text, and then like
Yeah.
your name, or I don't really know if you need your name, but something,
Yeah, it could be cool to get
logo,
into.
or and then like the Venmo. But
Yeah.
yeah, the virtual shows are pretty crazy. I've been
Yeah, there's so many now. I
true,
mean, obviously.
true.
So, but yeah, it's cool to get into. I mean, I always feel like thank God we have this technology now. If this had happened like 15 years ago, no, everybody would
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
doing nothing.
True. Yeah, that's I'm very fortunate in that aspect where we can collaborate so freely, and there's
Yeah.
things like the internet. And
hmm
man, yeah, imagine if we were trying to record to tape right now. That would be terrible.
Yeah. And well, and a lot of people didn't have that gear in their houses, and then studios would be closed, so they wouldn't even be able to do anything.
That's true. Man, yeah.
You know.
I I have not very many studio buddies, but all 3 or 4 of them are closed now, which is just
Yeah.
lame. And I don't know. I don't want to say I'll never go back, but it's definitely making me contemplate just like how much would it really take to get what I need, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't have a bass. I need a bass.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people make a lot of great music from home with pretty limited gear. I mean, it's not so hard nowadays to get
True.
decent sounding stuff that you could
Yeah,
just use
yeah.
at home. And you could record everything into just a laptop,
Yeah,
just Logic or something. It's like
yeah, that's what I used to.
my setup's really simple. It's just I have an Apogee
Oh, really?
and yeah, I have one mic with me now
Okay.
um and Logic, and that's it.
Do you have
So
an amp? Are you amped
and
up?
an amp, yeah, I have an amp too.
Okay, right on.
But yeah, that's about it. I mean, I would love to get some more microphones and maybe a preamp.
Mm,
Um, then I can at least record really high quality guitar tracks at home.
Sure. Yeah,
So,
I don't know. I haven't tried to dabble too much with the quality, I suppose, but
mhm.
it's kind of the only thing we have right now, I would say. It's kind of,
Yeah.
but if you look good and you sound nice, those are probably things that are gonna engage the video for longer. I watched
Hmm.
like Julian Lage, Margaret Glaspie. It was like
Yeah.
Peace Hour or something like that, I think.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, it was super good. Like, but the last video I saw of them, not to talk shit, was like not very good quality.
Oh, maybe that might have been the one I saw. The one I saw sounded horrible, but I
Yeah,
mean, the
yeah,
playing was great, but it sounded
totally,
terrible.
totally. And then the one I saw yesterday, like it looked and sounded really good. I was like, oh, homie,
Okay.
whatever money he needed to do to get a camera or whatever.
They must have stepped it up. Well, I heard that like the one that I saw a while ago, I heard that their internet had happened to go down
No,
like
fuck.
right before they started, and they had to use like data on their phone in order to
Oh
even.
wow.
So it was just like
Yeah,
shitty
I
quality.
did see like a chart about that too, where it was like streaming it from your phone is like 1 gig versus like being on the internet is like 20 or something, depending on what you have. So it's
Oh wow, yeah,
really sucks the bandwidth. And then you're putting it on Facebook or something else that also does
it
some
also fucks it up. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Who
this is also an opportunity for these developers and shit to make better quality stuff quicker.
do that?
you know,
Yeah, everything's been
it,
kind of stagnant on that end.
yeah, since everybody's doing that now,
Yeah, I've been
and it's cool. I mean, I would like to keep doing this even when we start, being around other people again. I would like to do this as well. So,
yeah, I have a buddy of mine, Michael Kirkpatrick. I'll plug him. Great,
oh
great.
yeah,
He's
I know him. I think.
oh yeah, he's an opera singer, mandolin, guitar,
Okay.
acoustic dude. Fort Collins, where I'm at in Colorado.
Yeah.
Um, he's doing like Thursday nights, and I don't know, maybe like Monday or Wednesday. I think would be like if I were to move to a day when everything turns back on. It's like
Yeah.
you can make $100 or whatever just for going live on Facebook on a Monday, just from
Yeah.
sitting in your bedroom or your hotel room or wherever you're
Yeah.
at. Like that's
Yeah. It's
a
cool.
big deal, and it goes pretty far. It's
Hmm.
more money than you had if you didn't do that. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
that's kind of an interesting thing for me
Yeah.
anyway. I'm not I don't make like a shit ton of money or something, and most of the money being like a band leader, I have to split, which is kind of lame. But also you got to pay
Uh,
people. But
yeah.
it's just like that already just like whatever cuts my money by 5 or 6 or whatever it
Mhm.
is, and
Yeah.
it's just hard to make it, and then you're like, but that equation doesn't really exist if you're just going live by yourself, or
Hmm.
even if it
Yeah.
was, there's no whatever middleman or, uh,
Hmm.
I mean, for you especially, there's no traveling. That's probably like a huge plus. Like you
Yeah.
go to wherever the fuck to go play this gig, you could just like do
Yeah.
it right there, which is pretty
Yeah.
crazy actually. Thinking about how
Yeah.
much
It's
you've probably traveled and been on a plane.
yeah. Yeah. It's. I mean, it's just another outlet that we can all, kind of get better at and do more of as time goes on. I'm into it.
Yeah,
You know.
dude, for sure. Have
So
you?
How long have you lived in Colorado? Where were you
Oh,
from? Where were you before that?
I went to UNT and I lived in Denton for a while, and then
I thought so. Yeah.
um, I moved here like 2018,
Hmm. Okay.
2018, not 2019. And yeah, I really like it here. It's pretty chill.
Nice.
Weed's legal.
Nice.
It's literally
Yeah.
the same price as living in Denton, which was crazy.
Uh-huh.
That was like one of the biggest things, and I don't know. I talked to Wes Stevenson about this, where like it's really easy to make a living in Dallas, and you could like also not really be in any sort of creative scene, and you could
Yeah.
like be in churches or playing in corporate gigs or whatever,
Hmm.
which is cool. And then I was working for UNT before I left, and it was a great job, probably one of the best jobs I ever had. But like
Hmm.
I was looking around me, kind of that scenario. It was like academically and musically, everyone was just like stuck there, and I was like,
Hmm.
everybody I know is like in their 40s and is making like only 40K, and
Hmm. Yeah.
it's not that luxurious. And then I started
Yeah.
looking elsewhere. My lease was up, and I was like, where else could I live for this price? And Fort Collins,
Hmm.
Colorado, I was like $900
Yeah.
for a 2 bedroom. I'm in.
Yeah.
And
It's a beautiful part of the country. It's
Truly,
nice.
truly. And I don't know, music really wasn't one of the big factors to move here for me. It was just I wanted a change of pace, change of scenery for sure. I'm like 5 minutes
Yeah.
from the mountains, which is super awesome. And
Cool.
yeah, I don't know. I've been really liking the music scene out here, though. It's entirely different. I don't. It's really hard
Yeah.
to explain. Um,
Do you know this guy Josh Moore? Do you come across him?
I don't think so. Not at the top of my head.
I don't remember
What's he do?
where. I think he's a drummer. I think he lives in Colorado, but I don't remember what town.
Right on.
It might be Boulder actually. But
That's not too far.
anyway, yeah, he's a great drummer. He went to UNT like when I was there, so like years ago.
Okay.
Um,
That's what probably my biggest problem right now is finding drummers and singers. Uh,
mm,
it's pretty crazy. I pretty much started singing because of that reason. It was like I
yeah.
didn't find anybody to whatever
Mm,
start singing over some tunes or play
yeah.
whatever the fuck. I didn't even care, and
Right.
that was non-existent. So I was like, okay, I guess I gotta write all these songs, and I couldn't really find people who went to school. I feel like that's definitely a different thing than people who just kind of play whatever, especially jazz
Hmm.
band bluegrass stuff. It's like
Yeah, for sure.
the vocabulary is only so large, so you can't really like call out giant steps, or it's just going to be a train wreck.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's like a huge lesson in itself, I guess, coming from the academia thing, where I was just like, I need to play everything so complicated, and then trying to do
Hmm.
that with other people, that like really didn't work out, and I just like looked really stupid.
Hmm.
And
Right.
I don't think anybody ever told me that. Where it was just like,
Yeah.
don't play your
Yeah. It's definitely like yeah. It's like when you start playing with people outside of that world. I mean, they have different strengths. I think
Sure,
you
sure.
know,
Yeah,
but
yeah. You can't like I guess like trying to like correct or like superimpose, or like if someone's dragging or not doing
mhm.
something harmonically or whatever, it's like you can't make something Phrygian or harmonic minor or whatever just because you want to. A lot of the times it's like it
Yeah.
sounds wrong, which is very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You got to just play. There has to be like a chemistry between everybody. You
True,
know.
true.
So it's like yeah. It's like if like two people are like talking about football and then a third person starts talking about I don't know, astrophysics, then he might be smarter, but he kind of just looks like a weirdo or a dumbass in
Yeah,
context, you know?
yeah, for sure. It's pretty strange, but yeah, I don't know. And then the whole style thing of like, have you ever tried to play bluegrass at all?
No, not really. I mean, I dabbled in it, but I've never done it in any kind of real way.
It's a huge like
It's
acoustic
beautiful music. I love it.
guitar,
Hmm.
mandolin, violin, fiddle, whatever, upright bass scene here. And it's like maybe acoustic folk music is like a better word, but
Hmm.
it's not all, whiskey for breakfast or something. It's like, I don't know, actual tunes and really good songs and shit.
Hmm.
It's a totally different thing. And
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, for sure.
that was the other thing is like when you go to the breweries and stuff, a lot of them are just like very tiny stages, pretty small. It's not like you could go up and like have 10 people or something. It's like either you or another person.
Yeah.
And the gigs, pay pretty well. It's like you can get paid like $500 or something, and it's like, but that was like a different category of gig, I guess. Like it was like, here's this place where you could bring the band, and then there's like this 10 times the amount of places you could play if you could play a solo set.
Hmm.
And dude, that's hard, solo guitar and singing
Yeah.
in general.
Man, and it was great to do that show because I haven't really done solo guitar in any sort of artistic way
Oh really?
since like college. I don't think because I've done solo guitar gigs for like weddings and
Sure.
random things like that. Where I'm just playing like standards and I'm not trying to be creative. I'm just trying to like get paid basically.
Yeah, yeah.
So this was the first time I had played my tunes that way and
Right.
tried to do something expressive and creative in years. And it's fun. It's hard, and I
Sure.
definitely want to do more of it.
Yeah.
Even after this is over, I want to do more of it.
Same. I mean, I was I was kind of already dwindling, starting it just for, like I was saying, but kind of for the same reason you said, just to really get paid, because it was,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just so terrible to say, but I'm sure you can relate. It's like anytime I take like a band gig where they want like a bunch of people, more than six, I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm gonna make no money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean it's yeah. I do like a lot of weddings during certain times of the year,
okay.
and those are usually with big bands, but that's like through like an agency kind of,
Mm,
and we get like a salary. It's kind of based like that. So those are cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's doing the solo guitar thing is great for certain situations. Just it's just a good gig to have. I mean, and
yeah.
you could just be functional with it, just be able to get through tunes and maybe some pop songs and stuff, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's supposed to be just background music for those situations.
Sure.
So as long as you don't sound terrible, nobody's even going to notice.
Yeah, I agree with that too. There's kind of like blending in, or I don't know,
Yeah,
times when you just like have to realize that you are background music and no one actually cares to listen to you. And that's kind of
yeah,
defeating a little bit sometimes, where you're like,
yeah.
I just played like a really sick solo, or I was feeling really good
Right.
right now, or whatever. And
Yeah,
it's just like no one's even listening. Or no one
yeah,
even claps after your song or something, and it's just like no one's even listening.
yeah,
It doesn't even matter.
yeah. It's like I think you kind of have to like kind of just accept that there's artistic gigs and then there's like society gigs, you might call them.
Sure. Sure.
They're not the same, and not to say that I ever want to just like sound bad and just not care. I always try to bring something
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
but it's just a different. The music, that kind of music is just for a different thing. It's not for expression.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Well, and
so,
that's again another thing, kind of too, where it was like, okay, before I was playing these tunes where they were so fucking hard, and it was like, I'm gonna play in seven, double time, and then I'm gonna go into a 4/4 funk thing, and then we're going in 5/4 polyrhythm, whatever, just
mhm,
ridiculousness. And it sounded cool and it was fun to play, but like, when I was doing that at bars or wherever people are just trying to get drunk and have fun and release their bullshit, they're not trying to like listen to people shred. And like, I don't know, whatever, I did that a couple of times, and especially trying to play standards too. It was like a lot of people didn't really care about that. It was like,
yeah,
but you play like Stevie Wonder or something, and you get like, you literally see people put money in the tip jar, and you're like, oh shit,
mhm,
okay, there's
yeah,
probably something to this.
yeah, yeah,
And like playing music like for people, like specifically, songs that are cool to you as well, I guess, is a blessing. But
hmm,
learning songs that like sound good, that people like, and playing them well and learning them is like, that's an art within its own. Of course there's,
hmm,
you know like you're saying, the cover band thing, but
hmm,
uh you can make it cool too. Making like
yeah. Oh
good
yeah,
pop songs is pretty tight, I gotta say.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, so many of those songs are amazing songs. I mean, of course, like Stevie Wonder and stuff. I love all that stuff.
I recently learned that he played most of the instruments on songs in the Key Life, and I was just like,
Yeah, he played most of the instruments on a lot of his records.
yeah,
Yeah, and you
that's
can always tell when he's playing drums in particular.
true.
He's got such a unique feel. It's awesome. I love the way he sounds on drums.
Yeah, dude, drums are so sick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I fortunate as a child to find a drum set in the trash can. I
Oh
really
wow.
know the story behind that. Like, little Johnny got grounded, or like somebody got mad, and like, or like, I don't know, maybe there's a divorce or something. I don't know why, because it was like literally every piece of the drum set, and that
Wow.
thing to find out is like rare. Like, after buying a drum set later in my 20s, I was like, oh, you have to like buy the cymbals and the stands and like whatever, doesn't just
Yeah.
come like put together.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And that was like its own journey of like finding what you want, but like everything was already there. So it was kind of like, okay, I have this whole drum set. And I God bless my mom, she like, I just
Mm.
had it like pretty much right here where I would be in this room, like
Yeah.
next to my bed. It was
Yeah. It's
playing
awesome.
drums all the time. But I don't know, I dabbled in drums for years and years, and
Hmm.
dude, there's some serious art to the drum set. I feel like a lot of
Oh
people
yeah. Of course.
just like shit on the drum set or whatever, but it's like, man, you hear somebody really play the drums, and it's
Hmm.
moving.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
especially for the feel. I feel like that's only something I've come to realize recently, going back to the recording thing, where like I don't really have a drummer. No one that I know who plays drums has a good recording setup right now, which is kind of a negative thing.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
so I'm trying to use like digital drums, and I'm using the Logic drums, which really only goes so far. Like you can't do mixed meter at all, and then talk about like feel. The swing thing is like actually really specific. It's kind of weird. It's like
Hmm.
you're like at 60, whatever, you're at like 70, and it's like jazz swing, and then like 54
Hmm.
is kind of like just a little stank, but there's like you can't like Dilla or anything like that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like there's it's really strict on like how your groove feels. So maybe you have this kind of
Yeah.
wilty or specific thing that you want. Even
Hmm.
like a particular beat, you know, if you have like a groove
Hmm.
in your head, you know,
Hmm.
it's like, okay, I can't find this exact groove in here.
Yeah.
I need to like modulate my idea somehow or something. I
Yeah.
do. What do you use
Well,
for drums? What's your thing?
I never really mess with that outside of like
Yeah,
demos,
right on.
because just because I don't know, I don't have the stuff that I would need to do it right. I mean, I know that you can like program, you can program your own beats and you can use cool sounds. I mean, it's definitely going to be its own thing, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's not going to be, or I mean, I don't have what I would need to do that. And I haven't really been necessarily super interested in it. So
yeah, yeah.
I just play with
Hell yeah.
drummers, basically. Um,
I know, and that's
but
legit.
but it is a cool thing. And yeah, like the swing thing is just it's a hard thing for a machine to do because,
True that.
it's like swing, like, especially like in jazz, it's not like any one rhythm. Like they try and talk about how it's like triplet and then, it's like based on the triplet, which it
Sure.
is sort of, but at the same time though, it's really,
Like two or three people I can even think that do the triplet swing like that, like Elvin Jones. I like specifically Speak No Evil. It's like tuk it, tuk it, tuk it, tuk it.
yeah.
Like
But a lot of times it's fluid. Sometimes it's really straight for a couple beats, and then it'll be, a triplety thing, and then also it has to do with the dynamics of the phrase.
mm-hmm.
It's like there's so many factors that
True that. Yeah,
it would
robot.
be a crazy algorithm that the machine would have to know
Yeah,
to be able
yeah.
to do
There's
that.
no dynamics. That's another good point where it's like all the drums
Yeah.
are just totally flat and
Yeah, you'd have to program every single beat,
true.
like with volume automation and everything, in order to make it. That would be really hard.
Yeah,
That
dude.
would take way more time than I would be willing to do. I'd rather just hire a drummer.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But again, I'm shit broke.
Yeah,
So
no, I feel you. I
it
feel you. And now we can't hire drummers anyway. So
yeah, yeah, it's been interesting, like the just the transition of kind of like that's the fun part where I don't have very much stuff and I'm trying to just work with what I got. And
hmm
man, it's interesting. I broke a string on my baritone like 3 days ago. So I need
mm
new strings. And getting strings
hmm
now is a pain in the ass.
mm
So that's
I
been
guess you could just order them right online
yeah, it
and
just
have them mailed.
takes a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
Poor
yeah,
guitar. Poor guitar. It's
yeah.
I've been trying to study up on this bad boy.
Oh, lap steel?
For you ever played one of these things?
Not really. No. I mean, I've touched one and made some noise with it, but
Yeah. They're
I've never like had one and really learned how to play it.
it's pretty hard. I haven't really fucked with like this side slide thing. Like, I mean
Mm.
I could do it. I can't even find my little bar right now. But
Yeah, I love those instruments, and pedal steel I love too.
it's dude, I never played a pedal steel. That seems really hard.
Yeah, it's a crazy instrument. It's got to have a crazy learning curve for sure.
Yeah, it's in C, this one anyways. The first one that I played was tuned like a guitar, which I thought was pretty badass.
Wow, that's cool.
Was like I guess the string gauge on there was
Hmm.
like really thin. But yeah, going, fretless or whatever is, been a huge inspiration for me. And I've been trying to
Yeah.
go full slide, like, back to the solo gigs and shit. Is in general any gig really. I try to just play 100% with the slide of my pinky.
Yeah.
And dude, that's interesting. That's definitely one thing they don't teach you in school is how to play slide guitar.
Oh yeah. No, not at all.
It's just hard as fuck, dude. I was trying to teach my little brother how to play yesterday, through Zoom or whatever. He's in Texas, and
Yeah.
uh, he got a slide finally, and he was just like, "Dude, I sound like crap." I was
Yeah.
like, he sounds pretty good,
Yeah.
normally. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Slide's hard for sure. It's definitely its own thing.
seriously, what you definitely do some sliding.
Yeah. I don't really think of myself as a slide player, but I do use a slide pretty often, usually for like melodies and stuff. Not
Yeah,
so not too often for soloing, but I do sometimes. But I do it a lot for melodies, definitely.
right
In
on.
Snarky and even in my own band
It
and
comes
in lots of other
just
things.
like fucking glass. It's just like such a unique sound. I could see even in Snarky. It's like, well, what else is there?
Yeah.
I can play this.
Yeah. We use slide pretty often in
Yeah.
Snarky.
Yeah, and
Um,
I really like that. I think in general that was a huge inspiration for me was hearing you guys use it
mm,
because I feel like at the time, I mean, I'm probably just dumb for saying this, but you only heard it in like this blues kind of maybe a little bit of funk or whatever, like maybe Sonny Landreth or whatever. That's still kind of blues rock, but then you
yeah.
guys added the whole world jazz fusion thing to it, and I never heard anything like that before. And it's like
Yeah.
you could use this in any context, and that was kind of eye opening to me.
Yeah. I think in the beginning that was I think it was very much Mike's kind of idea. He like heard certain melodies on slide.
Hmm.
And but nowadays it's like we kind of all feel individually like when it should probably be a slide.
Yeah, yeah.
But in the beginning, I think he really liked that sound
Hmm.
and kind of pushed us to do it.
That's cool though. I
So,
didn't know that.
but yeah, it was cool. I mean, and I when I was younger, I went through a super huge Dwayne Allman phase,
Hmm.
and who else was I really into? Well, later on, like after I moved to New York, I got really into Tony Scher.
Okay, I'm
You know
unfamiliar.
him?
No.
He's a great bass player who
Okay.
plays with like Bill Frisell and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But he's also a really great guitar player and singer songwriter, and he plays a
Hmm.
lot of slide. He does a lot of stuff where he plays with the slide and fingers at the same time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And he's a great
That's the
player.
sauce is like playing behind the slide or whatever.
Yeah. That's cool too.
That's
Oh,
cool.
and the younger guy, Blake Mills, is really great.
Oh, dude.
Slide
Yeah,
too.
he's like I would say he's the reason that I started playing slide. That's probably really silly to say, and
Yeah, no, I mean
you
he's great,
I'm
and
but
yeah, he's one of the fewer guys, especially like fewer guys that are really in the pop world. I think that
true.
play a lot of slide, a lot of
He's
great slide.
transcended into the pop world. I feel like I don't know if
Mhm.
he was just placed there, but now he's producing like fucking everybody's record.
Yeah,
Is pretty crazy. I would be really interested in getting into some producing. Uh,
Mhm.
just producing anyone's record really. Anybody watching this, I'll do it. uh, it's so interesting. I today for some reason I got lost in this YouTube rabbit hole of like sampling. What's it called? Oh shit, I'm forgetting. Mass Appeal. Does that have anything to you?
mm,
I have to
I don't
say
know.
I might even be misquoting it, but basically they're just getting all these DJs, whatever. Mac Miller was like one of the dudes I watched on there, and everybody had turntables. It was like you just go into this record store, kind of blindfolded. You pick a couple of records, just walk around the store. You go back to the studio, and they all have like the MPCs and shit, and a vinyl or some sort of like touchpad thing. I don't know, whatever, Ableton something. Uh,
Mhm.
and dude, talk about some really cool fucking sounds. That would be
Mhm.
so cool to learn how to sample and then, push it over. Have you heard of Tom Misch at all?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's
No.
I'll have to send him to you. He's like a British European guitar player. He
Mhm.
before all this shit I saw he was like gonna open up for Clapton for like 60 days or some shit.
Oh wow,
Yeah, damn, he's like
wow,
my age, 20, 25, 26 or something like
man, it sucks for him to have
yeah.
that tour canceled.
True. Yeah, he just released a new album and it's like number 4 on iTunes right now. I'm just like, God damn, look at him go.
Wow.
But he's kind of like another guy that I would back to Blake Mills. I would say is just
Yeah.
transcended the guitar. Not a slide player, I don't think, but
Yeah.
he's got great feel in the
Hmm.
in the funk and the soul, and but he really plays like violin, guitar, and then he does this
Hmm.
sampling thing, and that's like it's its own genre.
Hmm. Yeah.
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 Have
I
you
remember.
fucked with that at all, like sampling or
Uh, I
vinyl or
haven't really.
DJing?
I was.
Yes.
I was just gonna say I haven't really messed with it, but for some reason I went down this hip hop rabbit hole. I guess this is a couple years ago at this point, and I started like realizing that a lot of the guys back in like the early '90s and maybe even '80s they were all using this one sampler,
Mm,
but I can't remember what it was called actually. But you could easily find it if you Google
yeah,
it or
right on.
something. And everybody was using it, and it has such a unique sound. Like RZA from Wu Tang used it.
Mm,
I think Q-Tip.
okay.
Uh,
I like
I don't know about Dre because Dre's sounds were really very different. Like
dug into
like
him.
RZA in particular, like Wu Tang sounds are so like lo-fi kind of and
Sure.
like kind of dark, you
Sure.
know. But
Well,
anyway, I was
they're both
really
all.
it was such a great sounding thing, and it was just for sampling, I think.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to get one. I looked it up, and it was like, of course, so expensive because it's such an iconic sound.
Sure. Yeah, I was kind of wondering, at least from again back to modern technology, where it's just like I'm sure I don't really need a record player because again, money is a huge issue right now. I'm sure I could just go to YouTube or whatever and stream whatever, and just chop up something. But I don't even have a MIDI controller. I need to get a MIDI controller. I feel like that would
Mm-hmm.
allow me to make my own beats. It would be ghetto as hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and that's such a easy and cheap thing to acquire. So
Sure, sure.
it's certainly worth getting that. I mean, you could do bass sounds and
Yeah, that's true.
drum sounds.
Yeah.
I've used like MIDI controllers like that for like demos and stuff for
Mm.
certain things.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to get a MIDI controller. But for the sampling thing, you could assign it to keys, and I've seen these guys like
Mm-hmm.
take vocal slices or whatever and putting them on every key on the
Mm-hmm.
keyboard and
Yeah,
make
yeah.
chords and shit. And then man, I was just like, that's I don't know. I Do you feel weird about that, like stealing other people's stuff? And are you cool with that? Like if you were to slice up some records and put your name on it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a weird thing. I don't know. I think that you can definitely take things and do something artistic and creative with them. I
Sure.
would definitely not want to do it without making it very clear what I took it from.
That's
You
true.
know,
I think
I
that's
would,
cool in general too, especially watching
yeah.
the shit I was talking about. Like they're like taking, some Frank Sinatra record and some Latin thing and then, a Charles Mingus record or something, like slicing them all up and making this like hip hop beat with like vocals over it. With,
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
neat
I think it's great. And I mean, I don't know what the
stuff.
I don't know what the laws are with that,
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Like how the
but I would,
fuck do you not
yeah.
control for that? I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I mean, I think it probably wasn't written into copyright laws because it wasn't a thing that could even be done or ever, probably no one ever thought it could be done or would be done
That's
at a
interesting.
certain point,
Yeah.
but
How
now it's been going
far
on for so long.
How
You know?
far can you make it to where it's like unrecognizable is probably the thing about it. It's like sure it could be a sound from whatever, but if you can't recognize it as Frank Sinatra, then you're probably in the clear. But
Yeah. Well, you would be in the clear for sure as far as a listener realizing that it was taken from something,
yeah,
but but I would feel like the original artist should still be getting compensated, whether they
yeah,
can,
sure. Yeah,
whether
that would
they,
be a whole other
what,
thing too.
yeah,
Talk about the original artist being compensated. It depends on how old the record is or something, because like maybe that particular record you have the rights are like Blue Note or whatever the fuck. So like you may not even be like giving them the money. That's kind of a strange thought.
yeah, right, yeah. If they're like not alive or something anymore,
Yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. Cause yeah, I have a saxophone player buddy. He plays in Sha Na Na, which is like ridiculous. But
Mm-hmm.
he's older. His dad passed away, but he was saying that like Warner Brothers owns the rights to his dad's music. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck, like he probably was
Yeah.
like famous in the 50s or 30s or something like that, and
Hmm.
they're still trying to sell his records. It's like that's insane.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't believe
crazy.
it. That's pretty interesting. Do you does I mean you guys have that your own label now, right? Like Rope a Dope
Hmm.
something?
Well, Ground Up is our label.
Yeah. Okay. How did all that come about?
Oh boy, I mean, you'd have to ask Mike
Yeah.
exactly how it came about. Um,
What maybe a better question is like what do they do for you specifically?
well, basically the label is like it. So we were initially on Rope-a-Dope,
Sure. Okay.
um, and then and then I think we started Ground Up as like a subsidiary of Rope-a-Dope,
Okay.
and um, we were basically. I think Mike was sort of, for the most part, I don't know if curating is the right word, but he was basically, I guess, maybe scouting artists that he
Okay.
liked that he wanted on the label, sort of.
Yeah.
Um, so that's how it came to be. And then, as time went on, um, it became this. It became well, we became our own label. First of all, we split with Robodo,
Okay.
and then it was like this. It was kind of like a huge family of artists now that are all on the same label. So a lot of the artists will often take turns sort of opening for Snarky Puppy or
Right on.
stuff like that. And then a lot of times they'll be artists at the festival, featured artists at our festival in Miami.
Right on.
Um, but it's like labels are so different now because there's so much less money in selling records.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So,
I've always kind of been curious about that, at least for me, where I'm glad you said it like a family, because that's really the only thing I've kind of thought about it in the way where it's like it's really more of like a homie click hang thing. Or like I
mhm.
guess you could facilitate the like of what you're saying, like shows or merch or maybe recordings or whatever. Whatever you have your hand in already, whatever resources that you don't have, you could give to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, yeah, it's not maybe marketing a little bit too could be a plus. Like there is another
Yeah.
platform for them to really
Yeah. Certainly.
or something, I guess.
Yeah. And certainly promotion, like Ground Up definitely helps with promotion for the different albums, for everybody's albums and stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it's not like they're, funding you $1 million or something for your.
Yeah, I mean that kind of. I don't think that will ever come back in the music
No.
industry.
Yeah, yeah. Especially now. That's one thing I'm very curious about is when the studios come back on. It's like in general for everything really. I guess the scenario applies not regardless of the business, but no one's gonna have any money. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's kind of it's like trading trading cows or sheep or livestock again or something.
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
Bartering goods. I know I have a deal that I'm probably going to do now where I've kind of just put it off, but I have a guy who is going to give me free studio time if I build him a telly.
Oh
And
wow.
uh,
Nice.
I have you ever made a guitar?
No.
No, it's pretty fun, dude.
Yeah.
I would advise, especially right now. I've only made two, but
Uh-huh.
they both worked pretty well.
At
Uh,
one time I turned a guitar into a fretless guitar. That's the only thing I've done.
I recently heard a fretless baritone, and it was bad.
Oh, cool. That sounds cool.
It was very cello-y. My girlfriend is having a master class. She goes to school for cello, and
Hmm.
she's a grad student. And that dude, that's pretty crazy. The fifth tuning thing. You ever tried
Hmm.
that?
What do you mean? Like just tuning in fifths?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
C.
yeah, yeah, like a cello. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never played. No, I never really tried that on a guitar actually.
Mind blowing. It's really hard, actually. I don't know if it's possible. I tried a lot of different ways to get it all. This guitar over here specifically because
Mhm.
I don't care about it.
Oh yeah.
I had to go at least to C to get it because and then your B string and your E string would just be like through the roof. You could do like four
Hmm.
strings, but you had to go down so like decently far because you're going up so quickly.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Right.
but yeah, I don't know. I think I ended up doubling one of the strings or something, and then
Hmm.
like another fifth, so it was like five fifths, and which was still cool. But I don't think you
Yeah.
could do all six. You'd have to probably fuck with the string gauge. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
you
so.
try.
I mean, I like alternate tunings in general, though. I always think that's fun to mess with.
I have been trying to dig super deep on just like the open tunings. I've been
Hmm.
playing in C, like drop C, but in C major, and then also because this thing in the cello is
Hmm.
E, so it's kind of like just a universe I'm trying to live in right now,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's very strange to not think in E. I'll say that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it definitely takes some time.
what are some tunings
Get
that
used to
you use that you're into?
it. Well, I'm trying to remember now. I mean, I kind of I like doing tunings where something I've done before is I'll just kind of sort of randomly tune it to something
Hmm.
without thinking, without trying to get it precise, and then I'll play the notes and then I'll adjust them so that they're become a pitch that they were close to. You know what
Okay.
I mean?
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
So like it'll be just randomly, so it'll be kind of whatever, and then I'll tune it to close to those pitches,
Okay.
or I'll
Yeah.
tune it to those pitches that it was close to.
Hmm.
So I like to kind of do that sometimes just to get out of a comfort zone, and then kind of write that way.
Wow.
Um,
Eddie.
that's a, I have a song called Jambone on one of the Snarky Puppies records,
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar.
um, and that's that I wrote that song that way.
Hmm.
I forget what is the
You,
tuning on that.
you
What's
rewrote
that?
it in standard tuning and then just played it normal after you wrote it in
No,
normal.
it's in alternate tuning
Right on.
when we play it. Yeah,
Cool.
it's what is the tuning for that? I think it's D G D G C D maybe,
Hmm. Okay.
something like that. Um, yeah, so that's kind of something I like to do. But then I kind of messed around with the really common ones like Dad Gad and stuff like that
I
too.
never fucked around with that one too much actually. I should.
Yeah,
I remember, learning some songs when I was younger, like 13 or 14 or something in that, but
yeah,
I haven't dabbled with that one. The
yeah. It's a pretty common one that people like.
I've tried the banjo tuning, but I guess using low D instead of
Mm,
high one. But it's dude, that's pretty trippy too.
mm.
And then I tried that David Crosby one. Uh,
Oh yeah.
D, I think it's D, and then G, and then A, and then D.
Mm,
And it's mind blowing. I mean, trying to figure out all your chord shapes and whatever. And like, yeah, like you're saying, you're gonna stumble upon things that are not even possible on the guitar. I think it's
yeah.
if I'm not sure the right word, but it's funny to me when you write these songs and they're in this ridiculous tuning, and then you go and try to play this song live, and it's like, okay, well, I could either just destroy my guitar right here and
Mm,
spend like 20 minutes of the set tuning, or I could just try and like
right.
play it like I would just read it on a lead sheet and just stay standard tuning and just play the chords
Right.
melody. And both of them have such different vibes, and I kind of like that.
Mm.
But
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and the cool thing, yeah, I mean, it depends on how specific the voicings are, I guess. I mean,
I agree.
if a,
Sometimes
so-
it's really
if a
possible.
tune is written out and it just says like G, then you can just play any G. But if it's a really specific voicing that is what makes the song sound like the song,
Hmm,
and if you have to be in an alternate tuning to play it that way, then that's the thing too. I mean, it's just cool to find new things that you wouldn't find
I agree. Yeah,
otherwise. You know?
and kind of like I bet you can't play that thing. Like especially for all the songs, the 5 songs I've released recently have been lap steel, cello, and baritone, and no guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like good luck doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
you'd have to put an octave down on a bass, or get a 5 string to get
Mm-hmm.
the baritone bass lines, and then you'd have to tune to an open tuning, and then you'd have to get a slide guitar, or have an additional track with the string with the sixth scale degree in it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of just like good luck. But man, now I'm realizing when all this is over and I gotta play all these songs, I need to spend some time like learning them as solo guitar, like just like here's how you
Right.
do them by myself, because I do,
Yeah.
and this uh hopefully isn't true for long, but I do think that music will come back, but only in like solo, duo, trio for probably a long time. And
Yeah. I think so. I think
it'll
it's gonna be
be
a while before there's like big venues,
sure.
you know, big stages,
Yeah, yeah.
lots of
Well,
bands.
and especially. Snarky is a good example where it's like, you're talking to a booker or something, and they're like, well, we could have 20 people, or we could have like three,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah.
for the health, not even for anything else. Now it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was
Right.
already hard to sell those kind of situations before, but now it's like, well, we're just
Mhm.
gonna take the trio and we're gonna keep them 6 feet apart and whatever, and
Mhm.
call it good. And that's pretty crazy. I saw Denmark was having concerts like with people in their cars, which is
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I would be interested in trying to like maybe hook up like a drive-in movie theater concert where everyone's
Yeah,
in your car and like
that'd be crazy. That'd be cool though.
yeah, there's one here. I wonder how possible that would be. I don't know if they're
Yeah.
open yet, but there would be no the ticket thing. I've been thinking about that so many times, and it's coming just to play in quite a few scenarios. This would be another one where it's like you have to get your tickets online, and
Hmm.
then hopefully we just need to like abolish the cash. I think that's probably where it's gonna go.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, I think maybe they almost have done that in Norway.
really?
Not completely, but it's like really close. I think you
Yeah.
can use cash, but I think a lot of places don't accept it, and most people just don't carry it.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 and it's kind of a societal thing. I know a lot of old people carry a lot of money normally, which is kind of weird. But you
Yeah.
know, I remember my history teacher at UNT would always have like $200 in his pocket. That was just like his thing. He's like, "What if he robbed?" He's like, "I don't really care. Like, I need the money." And I was like, "No, you don't. You have a debit card." Like,
That's weird.
but yeah, it's I don't know. Some people just roll around with cash, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
and the tickets and the fondling of money or paper or whatever the fuck, it's like
Mm.
doesn't really need to be a thing.
Yeah.
I just probably been longer for you, but at least for me, I here in Colorado, I never get paid in like an online payment form. It's like here's your check or your cash, and that's
Mm.
cool. But it is easy to like split up right there if it's cash. But
Mm.
in general, it kind of sucks
Yeah. It
because
depends. Yeah, for me, it seems to depend on like if it's my band on tour, then yeah, I'll usually get checks or cash.
mhm,
But then if I'm a sideman and I'm getting paid by the artist,
yeah.
then that's usually. But yeah, anyway, venues I think usually will pay in cash or check. Yeah.
I was talking. Do you know Joey Landreth at all?
No.
You should check him out. He's really good. He plays in the open C tuning, and dude, you wouldn't even know he was tuned differently. He sounds so fucking good.
Hmm.
He can play
Cool.
anything, and he's a monster.
Hmm.
But I was talking to him, and he was saying Canada, where he's at in Winnipeg, they have I forgot what it was called, but it's like some sort of e-transfer thing where you just sign up, and then like before the gig even happens, you like send your pen or whatever the fuck, and then you get paid, and it's like like a bank
Wow.
account thing, and it's like through I guess the government like owns the banks over there, but it's like they're it's through your bank. It's not even like through Venmo or something. It's
Hmm.
just like straight up direct deposit. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Wow.
And
That's cool.
dude, everybody's got to get on that shit. I don't know how we
Yeah.
like make that a worldwide thing, but it seems pretty easy, honestly. Uh,
Hmm.
just to like be like, no cash, no checks, just give us our money, just send it to Venmo or whoever. Here's my
Yeah.
number.
It's
Done.
definitely going in that direction. Yeah.
I hope people are thinking about that. It
Mhm.
what's so silly is like there's this place called the Aggie here, and I don't know how they're even doing, but they're already hurting before. It was I'm sure you can attest to this. It was like I played there, whatever. I'm talking shit, but we got $100 for like 8 or 9 people, and I was like, here's your
Oh wow.
bucks, bro. Sorry, but it was like we had like 3 sound guys and like lights and like a huge stage and
Yeah.
kind of great. We got a recording, it was a cool show, but like
Right. Yeah.
$12. But uh you know
Um,
they're dude, they're probably hurting pretty bad if that's like where it's at. But their whole thing anyways was like for that show, and it's a bigger venue around here, like one of the only ones I would think of that would bring more than 300 people in the room.
mhm.
And they're like, whatever, I played the show and I get this email and they're like, yo, you got to go pick up your pre-sale tickets and your posters. And it was like in this box, like outside of this like house that I guess there was like the management company or something. I don't
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not really sure why I went to a house to go pick up some tickets, but
Right.
there was a bunch of other people's tickets in there for like the whole month of shows and the posters. And so I was like, how many motherfuckers touched that shit? Now that I think about it, it's kind of like, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's a system like anywhere else. I've never heard of that, but like, damn, like even just shit like that has to stop. And
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. I don't really remember.
It's like everyone has to be super aware of
Yeah,
what they're
yeah,
touching before they touch their face, basically.
true, true. Yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, I would be interested in, doing that. Have you ever been approached to be a part of a union, or are you in a union at all?
I never was approached, but some of the bands I've played with, or actually one of the wedding bands in New York I play with is through the union.
Okay.
So, but that's the only thing. I don't know, I know like Broadway gigs are all union gigs.
Hmm.
That's probably, as far as I know, most famously, that's a union gig is Broadway stuff,
Right on.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really do anything else that is.
Hmm. That's cool. I don't know why I like assume that, but there's like a lot of talk around here, like in Colorado, just people wanting to start up a union, and it seems kind of silly. At least I've already said it, but it's like no one has any money right now, so I think like if there were rules or penalties or something, people would just like not really care. And
Yeah.
it's like if I can make $50, I'm gonna go do this other gig, even though it like undercuts what I said I would work for or something. And it's just like how do you
Yeah.
they're gonna find out or whatever. But having penalties kind of seems like the deterrent for that. And
Yeah. I'm not really sure exactly how it works
yeah,
because I never really checked it out in any real way. But yeah, starting something like that now seems like not the right time anyway.
I agree. Yeah,
You know?
somebody the other day kind of approached me about it, and I was like, it seems really far fetched. Like I'm not even sure the magnitude or the gravity or the amount of effort or money or funding or anything you would need on like is this like a government thing? It's not just like
Uh, I
or
don't even
like
know.
an organization or something. I mean, I don't know. Whatever you're starting it with, somebody has to start the whole thing, and that seems just crazy. I don't, I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah.
That's cool though that somebody like you isn't using that because I feel like it's kind of like this hype or something. Everyone's like, we got to start a union, and it's like
Hmm.
we're not going to start.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is. I think at one time it might have been like a big thing in New York, even in clubs.
Hmm.
But I'm not. I'm just kind of guessing. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, my only reason I'm saying that is just talking about that kind of like e-transfer thing. It's like, well, maybe if you had something like that, it could work. Where it's like, well, if you're part of this thing, then you like have to do this electronic thing or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not sure.
That's
Maybe
true.
that can be a good step to like. And again, I've said this before. I think maybe here, but calling it a union is kind of a scary word. I think you could probably call it something
Mhm.
else, and it would probably literally be a very similar thing, and you could get away with a lot more in the terms of like taxes or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know, call it a label or whatever you want to call it, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I don't know enough about it to really be able to say.
yeah, just curious. It's I
Yeah.
don't know anything about it either, but
Yeah.
it's it's such a topic around here. It's kind of lame. I'm like, I don't know who's gonna do that.
When did that start? Like real recently?
Yeah, and and kind of for the situation I was talking about before, for the money, where it was like that scenario I was talking about, where we only made $12, like happens a lot, and it's kind of just like, well, if nobody took a gig for under $100, then like per person, that wouldn't even exist. But if there's no one kind of slapping you on the wrist to be like, don't do that, or
Hmm.
you know, but recently I thought about this more, especially when there's like no gigs. Like I'd probably just play a gig if it was possible and there was like no health risk or whatever. It's just like, you want to come over
Hmm.
and play some guitar? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm in.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, especially people like us, like we went to school for music, and if we're taking gigs for free, then we're just devaluing music, and that's
Yeah.
an insult to the scene that doesn't really exist. But
Mhm.
you got to do what you got to do. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're undercutting people when you take free gigs, or you know what I mean?
Um, it depends on what it is. I mean, I've done gigs for free. When I first moved to New York, I think I definitely did a number of gigs for free.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but at the time I was much more interested in just like learning and getting some experience and playing with people.
Mm,
Um,
I can relate to that as well.
and then at a certain point, I guess it depends on the gig. Like if I'm playing with some artist who I don't know and they have some support behind, if there's some support behind the person, then I would definitely want to make sure that I was getting something that was worth it financially,
For sure.
you know. But if friends of mine are playing a gig or just put out a record or something and they are putting together a live band, I mean, I'll play for really cheap. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
most
totally.
people most people will pay something just because that's just what you do. But
Yeah, yeah.
I know if they're funding it themselves, and I love playing their music anyway,
Mm.
and I'll just pay. I won't even like ask. I'll just play
Yeah,
for whatever they
it is
off,
what it is.
whatever they can give me. And that's kind of
It's interesting
when I play
perspective.
gigs in New York with my band. That's kind of how it is too.
Right on.
And then I have like a more um, set rate if we're on tour or something. But
Yeah, that's it's interesting you say that. I feel like Texas was like that, but Colorado
mhm.
really isn't like that. And it's hard to function because, everyone's going around being like, well, I need $100 an hour or whatever. And it's like, well, yeah, you
yeah,
do, but like when my gig only pays $100, I just can't have you. You
yeah, right.
And that's kind of a strange thing where I don't know. I never really ran into that situation before, and when I was
hmm
in Texas, it was like everyone was like, "Oh, you have a gig? Cool.
Yeah.
Let's play the gig." And it was like you're saying, it was like the money was like a plus. Like if you
hmm
got paid, it was like, okay, well, we made money. Cool.
hmm
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's a different
It's
perspective.
yeah, different cities. I think just have their own little culture about them with that,
Sure.
or what's the word, like their own little like protocol or something. You know, where
Yeah.
so it's just like it becomes
Hmm.
commonality to play and expect a certain amount of money in certain cities, and other cities it may be different. You know,
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah,
so
I'm always hesitant. I kind of learned that lesson at least with teaching, where I always feel kind of weird asking like I don't know over $40 in some place I know that's a more rural area because it's like
hmm
I remember I bought a Stratocaster in Oklahoma one time. I was whatever
hmm
in Denton, and I was like found this Facebook Marketplace thing, and I was like, I don't have shit to do today. I'm gonna go buy this Stratocaster.
yeah,
It was like a Fender Strat for like 150 bucks, dude. And it was like in nice condition. I don't know. I sat there and played it for a few hours. No
hmm
complaints. I think I eventually replaced the tuners, but not
hmm
for that reason. And it was just like, uh, whatever, it lasted a long time. But anyways, I was out there talking to them and they're like, man, you're really awesome. Like, would you ever consider being a teacher here? And I was like, well, how much do you pay? $10 an hour. And
oh wow,
like 2012, maybe even before
hmm
that, maybe 2014. But it was like
hmm
years ago. When minimum wage was
hmm
lower. But and I realized where it was like people in Denton alone. It was like I was taking lessons for $75 at that time.
hmm
I was like, fuck, dude, what? Like, but I instantly thought whenever I went home and looked at the housing prices, it was like, oh, I could live in this town for like 150 bucks a room or something.
yeah,
And
right,
it's just a different
yeah.
perspective, I guess. Like, you don't want to like outweigh the market. That's kind of an interesting
hmm
point. Like, if everyone's doing that, I guess, then sure, it's fine. But yeah, like, I don't,
Yeah,
that's interesting to hear that it's like that in New York, I guess. I always kind of
yeah.
assumed that people were you know, whatever. But I guess my brother told me that he had one of his friends played the 55 bar and they made like 50 bucks. And I was like, what
hmm
the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
I was bitching about whatever kind of what I'm talking about right now. And he was like, well, you realize like if this is really what you want to do and you want to go do whatever, and you're talking about playing like prestigious gigs, like I know you want to play at the 55 bar, but whoever so and so they just told me they got paid 50 bucks. And it's like, fuck,
hmm
I better just stop bitching, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like there's like, if creative gigs that you really enjoy doing happen to pay, that's fantastic. But
Hmm.
a lot of the times you end up doing certain gigs for money and certain gigs because you want to.
Well,
and they're not always the same.
that you
You
say
know, what's that?
it makes me super happy that you say that. Honestly,
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I've always been doing it for years now. You know,
I think people need to hear that. Whoever's listening to this will
yeah,
probably enjoy that. It's like, at least for me, I know there's a huge time where I was. I really do think it was like the jazz school thing that kind of put me in that mindset where I was just so elitist, and money being one of the things. I was like, I need money, blah blah blah. Like, you're gonna pay me, and I need this much, and I'm not taking this gig because it's crap and whatever.
yeah,
But once I kind of dropped all those things and stopped playing jazz and other genres of music and whatever, I actually started making more money. And
yeah,
it was kind of silly because, and I had started having more fun. And that was kind of one thing that I kind of forgot about that. I guess the school thing really made me stressed. I didn't really realize that, but it was
mm,
like, I was not enjoying what I was doing. I was like
yeah,
doing it for the money, and then like you're saying, well, if you're not doing it for the money, it kind of takes away that pressure too, where it's like I'm doing this because I need the money or whatever. But that's refreshing. I feel like everyone gets so caught up, especially with the kids
mm,
that go to school. It's like, fuck, I need to be making money, and I don't know. It's like, dude, if people like you are okay with taking creative gigs because it's fun and it sounds cool.
mm,
But man,
yeah,
shit, I don't know. There's this Alan Holdsworth video. I'll try to send it to you, but he's on the road or whatever, and he's like
mm,
in the bus, and it's old Alan too. It's not like I don't know, 70s or something. He's 2000
mm,
something, and
yeah,
he's driving around, and he's like, "We're out on the road again, and we're making tens and tens of dollars." It's like, that's so fucking
yeah,
funny because like he's old as fuck, and like one of the
yeah,
guitar players ever, and he's like talking about being in the van, like, yes, dude, we're making $10. I was like,
yeah,
the guy thing was so funny.
yeah.
But
Man, struggle is real.
dude, he's fucking funny. Two people I've been digging more into post COVID have been Wayne Krantz and Alan
Oh
Holdsworth.
yeah,
So good.
yeah,
Have you
yeah. Wayne is one of my favorites.
dude,
He always has been.
I just found out about him. I feel like he's been doing what I'm trying to do the whole time. I just listened to
Mm,
that shit and I'm like, holy fuck.
yeah, he's
That's it.
amazing.
He's got the whole free thing, because I really like that about his playing, where it's like most of it is pretty much improvised. I'm sure,
Yeah,
he has ideas or heads or whatever kind of, I don't know, tunes per se, but
hmm,
after he plays whatever, whatever the idea is, it's free, whatever he wants to do.
yeah,
And
yeah. His stuff is really open. It's really improvised.
that's so sick to me. And I
Yeah,
also feel like he's not really like jazz though. Uh,
yeah. No, he's really not.
it's hard to say that, but dude, I don't know. When people ask you like, what kind of music do you play, and you're like, well, I play guitar music, and it's kind of complicated. And there's improvisation. And they're like, oh, you play jazz, and it's like, well, sure, I study jazz, but I wouldn't call this jazz, because when I think of jazz, I think of John Coltrane or something.
Yeah,
I don't think of
yeah.
whatever, and that's my own bullshit. Is probably just having this narrow view of it, but it's hard to explain. And when I
Mm,
heard this shit, I was like, "Fuck, this is it. This undeniably
yeah,
is not jazz, but he's improvising, and you can't
mm,
deny either of those things." And it's like, well, it's more rock, and he's even sings on some of the shit too, and it's like
yeah,
that puts him in a whole other category. And
yeah,
especially
yeah.
for guitar nerds like us, it was like, you know, I don't know. I never really saw very many people singing uh
Mm,
in Texas. It was like that just wasn't a thing. Like you had like dudes like
yeah,
Fred Noel and Marcus
mm,
and all these just crazy shred cats, and like, I need to be like them. They're
yeah,
not singing. I don't need to do that.
yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
so
I think
interesting.
being open to everything is like only going to help. It's going to help you work more, and it's going to help you, get into different creative things.
Definitely. Have you
Cool.
studied with Wayne at all or anything like that?
No, I never have. I mean, I've had a couple conversations with him about various things music
Sure.
related,
I
and
watched
I've listened.
the whole interview you had with him. That was fucking badass.
Yes, that was one of the things that we did recently. But yeah, I mean, he's been one of my favorites since I was like 16, 17.
Damn.
So like, yeah, I mean, I've been
Yeah,
checking him out. That
I
was,
missed him. I don't know how I missed him, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think I remember being in high school the first time I ever heard him. It
that's
must have been
sick,
like, it must
dude.
have been like 97 or something.
That's fucking sick. I was
And
like
I was like,
8 years old. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
exactly.
And yeah, I don't know. My dad is like a guitar player, biggest Eddie Van Halen nerd I've ever seen.
Nice.
Like he has the shoes and he has like every one of the
That's amazing.
guitars, and he's like has made some of the Wolfgangs and shit, and
Oh, cool.
he's super nerd. He has all the records and whatever, you know, and he could play like every song. And we nerd out on guitar all the time, and we had a family guitar lesson yesterday, which was sick.
Nice.
And my little brother and my dad, we just nerded out for like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And but sometimes he sends me some shit, and it was like this interview, and in the interview 1984 Van Halen, he's like talking to some dude on the phone, and he's talking about how he produces Alan Holdsworth's first record.
Oh, wow. I think I knew that actually, but I
Like
forgot.
apparently got him signed to Warner Brothers, like a $30,000-$40,000 deal. Was just like moved his ass to LA, because I forgot what the story was, but he was like, you know, note for note or whatever, but he was in the UK. Alan was there. He's talking, he's like working in a guitar store, and Alan's pretty much like had at that time had recorded something or whatever. I don't know. It wasn't like the Alan Holdsworth albums, I guess, that everyone knows. It was like a demo, I guess.
Mm.
And he had sold all of his guitars and amplifiers to press the vinyl so he could sell the vinyl to get more gear again. And
Mm.
like, apparently Eddie was just like started crying in the middle of the store, and like they had dinner that night and they hung out and played some shit. And then like the next morning he gets a call, and Eddie was like, "Yeah, I got you signed to Warner Brothers." It's like,
That's awesome.
what the
Yeah,
fuck?
he was. Yeah, a lot of people really, a lot of people out of the jazz world loved Alan Holdsworth. I think Zappa was a huge fan of his too.
Hmm. Well, homie played with Tony Williams. I mean, that's like
Yeah, yeah,
that's a jazz lord in my opinion.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's so shred. I don't know. I heard too that that synth guitar thing, he has like a fifth tuning setting on that giant green monster thing that he plays.
Oh, wow.
And apparently a lot of those tunes, you know, he relearned this fifth tuning in the fourth tuning, and I was like, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's a bad dude.
That dude's monstrous. That like one video of him on YouTube talking about like the grids and the modes or whatever. Have you ever watched that? It's like an hour long or something.
Oh no.
So fucking nerdy. It's like some of the nerdiest guitar shit I've ever seen. Apparently he like I don't have it in front of my face, but like you know, like imagine the guitar neck like this, and you're like writing out the notes on a piece of paper or something, and he picks every scale that has more than 4 half steps and like puts them in like a different pile. And then he's just like making his own scales. He's like, this one has 2 half steps. This one has 1. This one's all or whatever. And he's like just showing you all these like scales that he's made. And in the thing, he like calls all these like the modes like these weird ass fucking names. Like I forgot. He calls like harmonic major, like Dorian with a major 7, and it's like that's confusing as hell, you know. And he's got like his own shapes and everything, and it's just like I can't even begin to understand how nerdy that dude really was.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Tone guy. In every video I've ever seen of Alan, he has a different rig entirely. Different guitar, different amp, different pedals. It's like I had the same fucking shit. I just got a new guitar like the first time in like 5 years. It's like
Yeah.
before all this shit happened, thank God. But
Yeah.
man,
Right.
like he's a connoisseur of the tone.
Hmm. Yeah.
That goes far too.
Yeah. He's a bad dude. I got to check out some more of his stuff again. It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of missed over that shit, but full credit to the old man sending me that Van Halen video talking about
Yeah.
Alan.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love Van. I was a huge Van Halen fan too.
Yeah, man. He was the OG motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure there's others, but Jimi Hendrix, I guess, it would be the successor in my opinion.
Yeah.
But dude, I probably gotta get going. My girlfriend's got class and we're sharing the computer, so it's
Cool.
kind of a pain. But big love.
It's all good.
It
Yeah,
was
man. Thanks for having me on this.
super pleasure to talk, and I'm releasing it on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm trying to release it like on Spotify and shit, which isn't like the greatest form of income, but
Right.
in general, I'm trying to get it on streaming, but I'm kind of having a lot of trouble with that. So those first two, YouTube and Facebook, will probably be the first ones. If eventually it may, hopefully, will be on something. I think I have to release it under its own thing like creating whatever now's the time channel
Mm,
on Spotify and then like releasing it through there. I don't think I can release it through my
mm,
current thing, which is
yeah.
silly. But
All
learning
right.
about technology.
Cool, man. Well, let me know.
And, yeah, send me like your Venmo and like your Bandcamp or whatever website you want for your link, and we'll call it good. But thanks,
Well,
dude.
you're kind of breaking up right now. What was
Oh,
that?
if you could just send your Venmo and your Bandcamp or some sort of website or something, just so
Oh,
people
okay, cool.
in the description
Okay, great.
have something to click on.
Yeah, cool.
Thank
Awesome.
you, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks, dude.
Oh, peace.